to one of those schools called the House of Torah. But something happened in the House of Torah. The head man, who we all know as Abba Bivens, was rebellious, like you niggas are. So he started examining what was being taught and questioning the validity of his own faith. And then he discovered something. He said, wait a minute. These are not white people. Jesus Christ is a black man. So he then went around to all the black synagogues on the East Coast and started to talk to them and tell them about his history and tell them about what he found. This is up in the 60s. And many of them didn't want to hear. They buried their heads. They took their checks from the so-called Jew. They got their rabbi certificates from the so-called Jew. But Bivens was determined because the Lord was with him. The Lord did not want the children of Israel following a false religion. And me, myself, I hate fake religion. Oh my God, it just drives me crazy. Everything we ever wanted is perfect. Everything we ever wanted, the Lord had for us in the truth. Yet we chose to join everybody else's religion. I'm sorry for popular speaking, y'all. I'm used to being on the street like this. You the devil, white man! Every time you need to use the mic probably for 20 years until you cut back off the mic. Give them a little space on the mic. But when you on the street, in the heat of the battle, you understand, y'all know these niggas know right here. They know. You up on that mic out trying to put hell on the street to wake people up. So Bivens went and he tried to teach these people and show them that they was off, that they were missing something, and they didn't want to hear it. So he went back and he got his men together, including the great Yahanna, and he went out on the street, which was also biblical as he figured out. And he went out on that street and he started to prophesy. He started to teach. He started to wake brothers up. 60s by then. No, early 60s by then. They hated him for it. The Christian church, which you know today, a lot of you don't know, the Christian church used to bring speakers out 7 feet high across the street from our camps in the 60s in an attempt to drown us out. The Muslims would come out of their temple on 5th Avenue, line up 1,000 bow ties. They was big back then. They used to disrespect Bivens. They used to say, what you niggas think you're going to do in that little closet? I say, come and see. Come and see what we going to do. They told him y'all ain't going to get nothing done until brothers started waking up. And he went over Jersey, which was a stronghold of the Muslims. And he went over there and prophesied on them. And they attacked him, beat him up bad, put him in the hospital, and eventually he passed away. And the Israelite school, UPK, was in the making by the hand of the Lord. The school of Torah, which started out trying to find its way, was coming to a close. So the brothers, 3 brothers, who you know today as Chief Head Priest Arya, Chief Head Priest Marsha, Chief Head Priest Yahanna. Not in that order. Marsha, Arya, Yahanna. When the House of Torah lost Bivens, and just so you know, when them bitches start telling you online, he ain't got it right, he is, he that, make sure you tell them the nigga was there.
That's right.
Make sure you tell them that nigga was there. forget it if I wanted to. Because these brothers would make sure I didn't forget this history.
That's right.
So they went around the corner and they rented a little room from a man named Mills. Mills was Mills security. Harlem was dangerous in the 60s. By 69, it was very dangerous. Drug dealers, pimps, stick-up kids, cat burgling was big in Harlem in the 60s. So Mills, a black man, had a security company. Mills Security. And he bought a building for the security company that had a whole bunch of single offices. Yaquab went around the Mills and said, look, man, I know a lot of people don't like us because of what we teach and how we feel about the white man. But you a black man like me, and you know what I do for these brothers on the street. Back then, Yaquab was giving out more that block cheese than anybody I know. More than you, Tom. Well, anytime they give out enough cheese to Yaquab. Yaquab, you know that old welfare cheese they used to give out? Yaquab, listen, every nigga in Harlem had some of that cheese. He tried his level best to feed the Lord's children. So Mills said, look, I'm going to give you a room in my building, but you got to control your men. I can't have them drinking and acting up and being a fool, and definitely don't sit on the radiator. And he had a radiator in the hallway to heat up the hall. But he didn't like us sitting on it because, of course, he didn't want it to break and be no more heat up in there. You ain't going to hear this story again. I'm going to tell you just one time. So Yaquab agreed. He said, okay, I'm going to control my men. I'm going to roll with them. He said, do me a favor. Give me the room right next to the stairs. So I ain't got to have my men walking all through your building with all your offices. Mills said, bet. That's a good idea. He gave Yaquab that spot. Yaquab told Ariel and Marsha, he said, listen, I made a deal with this man. Whatever you do not be late on his rent. They said, come out of one come. And one west, 120